The release of ChatGPT seems to be the true beginning of the era of artificial intelligence. We can call it the era of intelligent net. The artificial intelligence platform OpenAI released it in November last year. In a few weeks, it has gathered millions of users. The ChatGPT has performed numerous tasks considered impossible for artificial intelligence earlier. In my last video, I had informed about a new study. It made ChatGPT write a research paper. A team of 32 reviewers found the paper acceptable for a famous research journal. In this video, I am going to test ChatGPT myself. The task I have chosen is an extremely creative one that demands the interplay of all human faculties. Will ChatGPT be able to execute it? Hi, my name is Upendra, and in Research Reportage, I try to inform about the latest studies and new findings across the different fields. In this video, I am going to test if ChatGPT can write a story. Be with me till the end on this amazing adventure. If you find this whole exercise interesting, please subscribe to this channel for new reports and new stories. Now, writing story is something that needs human imagination. We will see how successful ChatGPT is in writing story. In the whole exercise, we will be totally passive. We will be here just as a reader. The whole task will be done by ChatGPT itself. Let us go directly to the ChatGPT API by searching for it on Google. It will take you to the OpenAI platform. As you land here, there are a number of sections, examples, and prompts to perform specific tasks. We will go directly in conversation with ChatGPT by clicking Try ChatGPT. Let us ask it something that we do in conversation. For example, how are you?
As an AI language model, I do not have feelings, but I am functioning properly. Thank you for asking. How can I assist you today?
Now, one thing should be clear. ChatGPT will interact with you in text. It is still not made to interact in voice. So, what I have done, I have simply used a text-to-speech software that is reproducing the written answer.
As an AI language model, I don't have personal preferences or emotions. You can call me whatever name you prefer. Is there anything specific you need help with today? Of course. I'd be happy to help you write a story. What kind of story are you interested in writing? Do you have a specific theme, genre, or character in mind?
I want to type simply once upon a time. Now, when we say once upon a time, a fairy tale comes in our mind. Can ChatGPT understand it? Let us see.
Once upon a time, there was a young prince who lived in a magnificent castle in the heart of a vast kingdom. Despite his wealth and privilege, the prince was deeply unhappy. He felt that there was something missing from his life, but he didn't know what it was. One day, the prince decided to venture beyond the borders of his kingdom to find what was missing. He packed a bag with essentials and set out on his quest, determined to find happiness and fulfillment. As he traveled through forests, across rivers, and over mountains, the prince met many people who offered him advice and guidance. Some told him to seek out treasure, while others said he should look for love. The prince tried everything that was suggested to him, but nothing seemed to bring him the happiness he was seeking. He began to feel hopeless and was about to give up his quest, when he came across a wise old sage who lived in a small cottage in the woods. The sage listened to the prince's story and then told him that what he was looking for could not be found in the outside world, but was within him all along. The prince was skeptical, but the sage encouraged him to return to his kingdom and to look within himself for the answers he sought. The prince took the sage's advice and, after much reflection and self-discovery, he realized that true happiness came from within and that he didn't need anything else to be fulfilled. And so, the prince returned to his kingdom, where he lived happily ever after, content in the knowledge that he had found what was missing from his life. How does that sound as a start?
Wow, you can see ChatGPT has decoded the underlying meaning of the phrase once upon a time. It has framed a new story that looks like a familiar one because ChatGPT has been fed with billions of text chunks taken from internet. I think it has tried to match my prompt with those patterns by analyzing both with the parameters loaded in its neural network. ChatGPT has been loaded with 150 billion parameters of natural language. If you want to go deeper in ChatGPT's mind, please read the whole story given on screen. In short, it tells that there was a prince with a prosperous and vast kingdom, but he felt that he was still missing something. He sets out on his quest. After a long adventure, he meets a sage. The sage tells him what he is looking for, he will not find outside. He has to set on a journey inside himself. The prince does it and finds the knowledge. Now, I'll suggest ChatGPT that I want the protagonist to be a queen. She was unable to find what was missing from her kingdom and then she had a dream. Let's check the result with this prompt. It looks like a tedious exercise, but you'll be fascinated to see how ChatGPT improves itself and knit the whole story again. If you stay with me till the end, you will also learn some fundamentals of story writing. So let's check the prompt.
Certainly. Here is a revised version of the story, focusing on the queen. Once upon a time, there was a powerful and beloved queen who ruled over a prosperous and thriving kingdom. Despite her many successes and the love of her subjects, the queen felt that something was missing. She couldn't quite put her finger on what it was, but she felt an emptiness that no amount of wealth, power, or admiration could fill. One night, the queen had a strange and vivid dream. In the dream, a mysterious figure appeared to her and told her that her kingdom was missing the most important thing a queen should have. The figure did not say what this missing thing was, but the queen woke up feeling troubled and restless. Determined to find out what was missing from her kingdom, the queen decided to go on a journey to seek answers. She left the castle disguised as a commoner and traveled far and wide, talking to her subjects and seeking the advice of wise sages. Everyone she met had a different suggestion for what the missing thing might be. Some said it was wisdom, others said it was courage, and still others said it was love. The queen tried to find each of these things, but no matter how much she searched, she couldn't find what she was looking for. Just when she was about to give up, the queen met an old wise woman who lived in a small cottage in the forest. The woman listened to the queen's story and then told her that the missing thing could not be found in the outside world, but was within her all along. The queen was skeptical, but the woman encouraged her to return to her kingdom and to look within herself for the answers she sought. The queen took the woman's advice and, after much reflection and self-discovery, she realized that the missing thing was compassion. She had been so focused on ruling her kingdom that she had forgotten to show kindness and understanding to those around her. The queen returned to her kingdom as a wiser and kinder ruler, and her subjects loved her even more for it. And from that day on, she ruled with compassion and love, and her kingdom flourished as never before. The queen finally found what was missing from her life and her kingdom, and she lived happily ever after.
I want ChatGPT to make the encounter between the queen and the world-wise woman more dramatic.
Sure. Here is a revised version with a more dramatic encounter with the old wise woman. The queen was wandering through the forest, feeling lost and hopeless, when she heard a voice calling out to her. Following the voice, she came upon a small cottage surrounded by a beautiful garden. The voice was coming from an old wise woman who was tending to the flowers. The queen approached the woman and explained her situation, and the woman listened intently. When the queen finished speaking, the woman stood up and walked towards her, her eyes shining with a bright light. "Your kingdom is missing compassion," the woman said in a voice that echoed throughout the forest. "But this is something you already possess within you. You simply need to rediscover it." The queen was taken aback by the woman's words and asked her how she could find compassion within herself. The woman simply smiled and told the queen to look inside her heart. "Compassion is the seed of kindness and understanding," the woman said. "Nourish it with love and let it grow. And when it blooms, you will see the true meaning of what it is to be a queen." With these words, the woman disappeared, leaving the queen alone in the forest. But the queen was not alone, for she now had a sense of purpose. She returned to her kingdom, and over time, she rediscovered her compassion and became a ruler loved and respected by all. And from that day on, her kingdom flourished as never before.
Here, it has written only the portion in which there is a dramatic encounter between the world-wise woman and the queen. Now, I want ChatGPT to introduce a new character.
Sure, we can introduce another character. How about a magical animal that accompanies the queen on her journey and helps her in her quest to find compassion? Here is a revised version with the added character. The queen was wandering through the forest, feeling lost and hopeless, when she heard a rustling in the bushes. Suddenly, a small, winged creature flew out and landed on her shoulder. The creature was a magical bird with iridescent feathers and a wise expression in its eyes. The queen was surprised, but the bird simply chirped and took flight, leading the way. The queen followed the bird, and before long, she came upon a small cottage surrounded by a beautiful garden. The bird flew down to a spot near the cottage and turned into a wise old woman who was tending to the flowers. The queen approached the woman and explained her situation, and the woman listened intently. When the queen finished speaking, the woman stood up and walked towards her, her eyes shining with a bright light. "Your kingdom is missing compassion," the woman said in a voice that echoed throughout the forest. "But this is something you already possess within you. You simply need to rediscover it." The queen was taken aback by the woman's words and asked her how she could find compassion within herself. The woman simply smiled and told the queen to look inside her heart. "Compassion is the seed of kindness and understanding," the woman said. "Nourish it with love and let it grow. And when it blooms, you will see the true meaning of what it is to be a queen." With these words, the woman disappeared, and the bird reappeared on the queen's shoulder. The queen was not alone, for she now had the bird to guide her. The bird led her on her journey, showing her acts of kindness and compassion wherever they went. Over time, the queen rediscovered her own compassion and became a ruler loved and respected by all. And from that day on, her kingdom flourished as never before.
Now, I want ChatGPT to put the whole story together so that I can read this in continuation.
Of course. Here is the story with corrected grammar and punctuation. Once upon a time, there was a queen who ruled over a prosperous and thriving kingdom. However, despite her kingdom's success, the queen felt as though something was missing. One night, she had a dream in which someone told her that her kingdom was missing the most important thing a queen should have. Confused and desperate for answers, the queen set out on a journey to find what was missing. As she wandered through the forest, feeling lost and hopeless, she heard a rustling in the bushes. Suddenly, a small, winged creature flew out and landed on her shoulder. The creature was a magical bird with iridescent feathers and a wise expression in its eyes. The queen was surprised, but the bird simply chirped and took flight, leading the way. The queen followed the bird, and before long, she came upon a small cottage surrounded by a beautiful garden. The bird flew down to a spot near the cottage and turned into a wise old woman who was tending to the flowers. The queen approached the woman and explained her situation, and the woman listened intently. When the queen finished speaking, the woman stood up and walked towards her, her eyes shining with a bright light. Your kingdom is missing compassion, the woman said in a voice that echoed throughout the forest. But this is something you already possess within you. You simply need to rediscover it. The queen was taken aback by the woman's words and asked her how she could find compassion within herself. The woman simply smiled and told the queen to look inside her heart. Compassion is the seed of kindness and understanding, the woman said. Nourish it with love and let it grow. And when it blooms, you will see the true meaning of what it is to be a queen. With these words, the woman disappeared, and the bird reappeared on the queen's shoulder. The queen was not alone, for she now had the bird to guide her. The bird led her on her journey, showing her acts of kindness and compassion wherever they went. Over time, the queen rediscovered her own compassion and became a ruler loved and respected by all. And from that day on, her kingdom flourished as never before.
The story has turned more interesting, but still it looks like a familiar one. So in the next step, I want ChatGPT to make the story more eventful and interesting for a 10 years old girl. See what ChatGPT is going to offer. Listen to this version carefully because you'll be able to compare this version with the initial one from where we started our journey of story writing. Wow, the story looks amazing. See how ChatGPT has modified the language and course of events to make it suitable for a 10 years old girl reader. And see the use of graphical words. The scenes are more vivid than earlier. What conclusion we draw from here? Is ChatGPT able to understand the mind, the taste, and the whole mental framework of a 10 years old girl child? Now, I want some stormy twist in the whole story. So, let us give the prompt. Now, ChatGPT has introduced a stormy background to our story. There is a magical seed, and the kingdom now becomes the kingdom of compassion. There is something missing in this story. I think a villain. So let us give this prompt.
Sure, here is a revised version with a villain. Once upon a time, there was a queen who ruled over a kingdom filled with lush forests, sparkling lakes, and tall mountains. Despite all the beauty and wealth in her kingdom, the queen felt a deep sadness in her heart. She just couldn't shake the feeling that something was missing. One night, the queen had a strange dream. In the dream, a wise old woman appeared and told her that her kingdom was missing the most important thing a queen should have. The queen was curious, so she set out on a journey to find the missing piece. As she traveled through the forest, the queen heard a rustling sound and suddenly, a magical bird appeared. The bird had shiny feathers and a wise expression, and it flew ahead of the queen, leading her deeper into the forest. The queen followed the bird, but just as they were about to reach the cottage of the wise old woman, a great storm rolled in. The wind howled, and the rain poured down in sheets, making it nearly impossible for the queen to see. But the bird didn't give up and led her on through the storm. Finally, they made it to the cottage, and the bird transformed into the wise old woman from the queen's dream. The woman invited the queen into her cottage, and the queen explained her quest to find the missing piece of her kingdom. The wise old woman listened carefully and then told the queen that her kingdom was missing compassion. She explained that compassion is the seed of kindness and understanding, and that the queen already had it within her heart. The wise old woman then gave the queen a magical flower seed and told her to plant it in her kingdom. Just as the queen was about to leave, the wise old woman warned her of a dark and evil sorcerer who was envious of her kingdom's prosperity. The sorcerer had been spreading fear and hatred throughout the land, trying to destroy the kingdom from within. The bird reappeared, and the two of them continued their journey back to the kingdom. But on their way back, they were ambushed by the sorcerer's minions. The queen was afraid, but the bird reminded her of the power of compassion and the strength she had within her. The queen used her compassion to defeat the minions and confront the sorcerer. In a dramatic showdown, the queen used her powers of kindness and understanding to break the sorcerer's spell and turn him back to the good person he once was. Finally, they returned to the kingdom, and the queen planted the flower seed. As she watered it, she felt a warmth in her heart, and suddenly, the seed grew into a magnificent tree. The tree radiated a warm, golden light, and everyone who saw it felt a deep sense of peace and happiness. The kingdom was filled with love, kindness, and understanding, and the queen was finally able to shake the sadness from her heart. From that day on, the kingdom was known as the Kingdom of Compassion, and the queen was loved and respected by all. The end.
ChatGPT has introduced a sorcerer in this version of the story. You need to read the whole story on screen at one go here at this point. You will be able to understand ChatGPT has done something amazing in this version. Now, I am going to ask ChatGPT to rewrite the whole story in a new format, in the format of dialogue and narration. Let us see what ChatGPT offers to us.
Certainly. Here is a revised version with dialogue and a narrator. Narrator, once upon a time, there was a queen who ruled over a beautiful kingdom filled with lush forests, sparkling lakes, and tall mountains. Despite all the beauty and wealth in her kingdom, the queen felt a deep sadness in her heart. Queen, sighing, what is missing from my kingdom? I feel like something is not right, but I just can't figure out what it is. Narrator, one night, the queen had a strange dream. In the dream, a wise old woman appeared and spoke to her. Wise old woman, in the queen's dream, your kingdom is missing the most important thing a queen should have. Queen, awakened from her dream, determined, I must find out what it is. Narrator, the next day, the queen set out on a journey to find the missing piece. As she traveled through the forest, she heard a rustling sound and suddenly, a magical bird appeared. Magical bird, in a melodious voice, follow me, I will lead you to the wise old woman. Narrator, the queen followed the bird, but just as they were about to reach the cottage of the wise old woman, a great storm rolled in. Queen, shivering, this storm is so frightening. How will I ever make it to the wise old woman's cottage? Magical bird, calmly, do not be afraid, your heart is filled with compassion and that is your strength. Narrator, the queen took a deep breath and continued on through the storm. Finally, they made it to the cottage, and the bird transformed into the wise old woman from the queen's dream. Wise old woman, smiling, welcome, my child. What brings you to my cottage? Queen, explaining, I had a dream about you, and you told me that my kingdom is missing the most important thing a queen should have. I want to know what it is. Wise old woman, nodding, your kingdom is missing compassion, my dear. It is the seed of kindness and understanding. But the good news is, you already have it within you. Narrator, the wise old woman gave the queen a magical flower seed and told her to plant it in her kingdom. Wise old woman, warning, but be careful, my child. A dark and evil sorcerer is envious of your kingdom's prosperity. He has been spreading fear and hatred throughout the land, trying to destroy it from within. Narrator, the queen and the magical bird continued their journey back to the kingdom. But on their way back, they were ambushed by the sorcerer's minions. Queen, afraid, what will I do? I don't know how to defeat them. Magical bird, encouraging, use your compassion, your kindness and understanding, that is your strength. Narrator, and so, the queen used her compassion to defeat the minions and confront the sorcerer. In a dramatic showdown, she broke the sorcerer's spell and turned him back to the good person he once was. Queen, smiling, kindness and understanding can conquer all. Narrator, finally, they returned to the kingdom, and the queen planted the flower seed. As she watered it, she felt a warmth in her heart, and suddenly, the seed grew into a magnificent tree. Queen, amazed, look, the tree is radiating a warm.
Wow! What a beautiful story ChatGPT has knitted for us. It looks amazing. It started from a very simple plot. A king sets out on an adventure and returns back with his answer. And now the whole story has more drama and it looks more interesting. It's amazing. The whole thing was done by ChatGPT itself without any help. Analyzing these texts, we can understand or go deeper in the working of ChatGPT. We have got the story, and if you have anything specific in your mind, the particular genre you can give in the prompt. ChatGPT's capability is not limited to the story writing or a research paper writing. It has immense possibilities. Users are reporting various kinds of tasks they are performing with ChatGPT. In other videos, we will try to explore these capabilities of ChatGPT and also how it can be helpful for a professional, a student, a teacher, and the people who are working in different fields, and even the people who are using the internet just for fun.